You can still hear me.
Yeah, I'm muted off, sorry.
Oh,
Okay. Well, Earl, I think we're okay to get started. We have a quorum this morning. And then, if we could introduce JR, our newest member.
Okay.
And it, JR, do you know everyone? Or should we do introductions?
Just,
Oh, okay, yeah. If we want to just
This
go
way?
around the room then.
And how do you spell Benyon?
BNNION.
Bennion, Benyon? Okay.
And Earl is our chairperson.
And I can spell Mackel for sure. That took a long time, let me tell you.
All right, so you've met Deanna then? No?
Deanna Foster.
Okay.
I work at Community Bank.
Okay.
Been on the board for, I don't know, this one put me on here years ago,
long
so.
time ago.
It's been a
10
few
years. 10 years.
And Jared's known me since he did diesel football.
I think you know everybody knows.
Everybody else I know,
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, thank you. All
even Adam.
Do you know Adam?
Even
Or
then.
there.
Even him.
Adam, all right.
right, well, welcome and thank you. Okay, Earl, it's all you.
Meeting is called to order at whatever time it is,
8:35.
8:30. First, we need roll call, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's here?
Except the mayor, right?
Yes,
Except the mayor
correct, yeah,
and Jack.
right.
Approval of the 10 October 19th meeting.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 3, October, November, December, and January financials.
You'll see there really wasn't a ton of activity except for, you'll see in October from us paying the contractor and the engineering firm relating to the trail extension project.
So George, are we getting bottom?
Is there a flyover?
Oh, no, it's a mop bucket.
Just a question on the asset side, Carrie. It looks like one of the CDs matured in the beginning of January. It was getting 0.1%. Were we able to get into the 4% range on the renewal?
Yes,
Beautiful.
just did that.
Love it. Love it.
Yes, so what was it last week, Deanna? Did we do that?
Yep, we did.
Yeah, it was last week.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes. So, and I did it for the same time frame with the 6 months that we were
Was it a
doing.
6 month? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great. That's a major, that's not nothing. I mean, that's,
right, compared to
you
what
can
it
put cash
was.
into things now and get money back. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal.
Yeah.
Wow. What's going on, huh?
No. And one thing, oh no, I'll wait till old business, never mind. I don't wanna go out of order.
I'll make a motion to accept the October, November, December, and January 31st financials.
Second.
I'll second it.
Alright, voice vote,
Hi.
Hi.
motion carried.
Any new business, anything?
Yeah, so I
Oh,
put
good.
in our budget just for discussion, what was done before, and I need some guidance from the board on how do you wanna proceed in this upcoming fiscal year? It may seem like I'm bringing this early, but this is normally around the time when I do it, it's February, March, because I need to have it into the authority's budget office say like 90 days prior or to it being enacted. So I'm unsure what activities the board wants to take on this year. I mean, we know that we spent a great majority of URA's money to do that trail extension. And so, just seeking guidance on what you would like to be doing.
I think this kind of picks up on that conversation we were having in October, right? Just before,
Yes.
at the end of our last, philosophically, what are we going to do as an entity, right? What's the strategy? What's the strategic planning now? Manny Hanny is off the books. These other couple projects have come up. What do we want to, I think it's a big philosophical question about what is it that we want to do. And I think it's worthy of having the strategic conversation about, you know, who are we now? What is our mission going forward? I guess I'm accentuating how large that conversation is, just to your point, Carrie, versus, you know, it's not necessarily even a budget conversation. It's bigger than that, right? The budget
Yeah.
conversation comes together pretty easy once you have the strategy, but
Right, because that's exactly it. I don't know how to create a budget when I don't know what our activities will be.
right. I mean, and then maybe it's for here, maybe it's for a separate meeting. I don't know, but I mean, just thinking strategically, what is it? What do we want to be after this? I mean, you know, what do we have from an asset perspective? What do we have from a real estate perspective left? You know, do we want to try to seek out projects that improve those things? Do we want to try to offload them to other people that can improve them? I mean, how do we attack that? I guess I think it's an open discussion, right? I mean, I've only been collectively of my couple different terms on this. I think maybe you could add it up to maybe 2 years. So I would look maybe to Deanna, who's been on URA forever. I mean, you guys have kind of been here and done it, right? So, I mean, does anybody have any thoughts about what it is we're going to do strategically as we go forward?
I think our biggest focus had always been Manny Hanny and the old, if you want to call them the Mara buildings, they're Jeff Bell's buildings that had been our primary focus. So there was never any bigger picture looking out to say, what else are we gonna do? So now that we're here, we're like, are we really here? We did it, really?
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, it was nice to have those few months to kind of absorb, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
like, okay, what's the next step? So.
Mhm. Yeah, and that trail project was fast and furious.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Whoa.
I have a question on the financial side.
Sure.
So if we're it kind of sounds to me like we're either winding down or we're trying to go in a different direction. But for instance, in our expenses, we're increasing everything, and I know everybody wants a pay raise. But the professional consultant URA projects
Yes.
went up quite a bit. Professional services, I mean, if we're decreasing our activity,
Yes.
we're
So
increasing that.
right, this I didn't update. This is
Yeah,
just
that's
what
okay.
we had adopted. That was the contract we had with E&M to do the trail work. That was the 8,500. So that I would absolutely decrease.
Okay, but some of the other things, if we're gonna be meeting less,
Right.
doing less, shouldn't they at least stay the same for now? And if we
Sure.
have to make adjustments later,
Yeah. Or we
Yeah.
just don't spend the money.
Right.
Right. It's allocated and we just don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could do it that way.
yeah, I was just looking at all the
Absolutely.
increases, thinking,
Yep. Yeah. So those were, when I did the budget last year at that time, I had already done the RFP for professional services for the engineering. And so that's why that was bumped up, because it was a real number. Because what was it? Clerk Patterson Lee's response was like 50-some thousand, and E&M's was the 8,500. So of course the agency went with the responsible bidder.
but that's just something that I think you might wanna adjust.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely.
So from a downtown perspective, I mean, everything is in property owners' hands. There's nothing from the development side and in that aspect.
Do we have any land left or properties left?
Yeah, we do. Just on Constitution, the vacant land, I mean, we
Okay.
know we make money off of the one from the National Grid lease, the other one, that's how we make our money off of Atlantis.
Mhm.
And then the one around Armor Building Supply, we're trying to sell.
Right,
So after that, I think, I don't know that there's a lot of marketable sellable land that, so, I mean, that could be something, do we want to continue in the URA area that, you guys had established, I don't know, maybe it was 14 years ago or so. And really think about, are there properties left in the urban renewal area that you may want to consider for a project? Thinking about that, the former James Bridal.
That's,
Yeah.
that's
You
the
know,
one that
that's
was,
the one that
who's
just
doing the
popped
work
into
there?
my head. No one, I believe, and that's the problem. The
Who owns the
owner,
property?
I believe it's a gentleman that bought it off of the
he outbid
tax
me on the tax
auction.
sale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and he is being, I believe, difficult.
He,
And
he's-
so Ari Kelly is performing the work.
yeah, he had started doing some work on the interior, but he didn't finish. And the city actually paid to have that piece put up so that if anything does fall off the front of the building, it won't injure a pedestrian.
But isn't there a time frame to that they have to get something done? Because we can't keep paying for it indefinitely.
Right.
It'll be leaned on the property.
But if he's this irresponsible, I doubt we're ever gonna see a penny from him. I mean, that's happened before,
Oh, yeah,
just saying.
can't clean a stone.
Well, and I think going back to the strategic conversation, I think that kind of leads into that strategic conversation. I mean, OLDC has kind of, carved this way forward of taking residential properties. That's one of the things that they're doing now, which I think is awesome. I think we talked about that years ago, and it's awesome that it's starting to happen. Is URA the body that would do that with commercial properties? Is that a path forward we could do? Do we have the assets to even do that? And I don't know if the answer is yes or no, but I mean, what is it that we would do? I mean, thinking about the downtown, I mean, again, Manny Hanny was kind of URA's brand, and that's gone now, and the Mara buildings. But that's downtown. I mean, URA is kind of, that's kind of become URA's brand. And so thinking about Jane's Bridal, I mean, that's an example of, to be honest, it feels a lot like Mara buildings, right? I mean, it's downtown commercial property that's fallen into disrepair. I'm not saying Jane's Bridal in particular, but just as an example, I mean, are there other examples of properties that could potentially fall into, legal limbo from an ownership perspective, where the URA could potentially step in, have access to better, resources and things to rehabilitate them, from on the commercial side. It's just an idea of a potential strategic direction forward, but I think we really want to have one, before too long. And certainly, just to your point, Carrie, I mean, if we have revenue generating land on Constitution, that's the light switch. We don't want to get rid of that one until we're ready to turn out the lights, right?
Right, and we're under contracts too,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Adam, with we take a walk most every day. Would say the property, and I don't know who owns it, the old D&K store, that area, nothing's happening there. Is there, that's another one that
That's
kind of
another,
comes
it's
to
another great
mind.
example.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's, it's known who owns that. I guess I can say it because he received IDA inducements, and that was public record. So it's the same owner as 4 Mile.
Yes.
Recently there have been some windows starting to get it. Well, yeah, there's been some window upgrades, we'll say, on the back of the building. It's still not, I don't think it's still weather tight on the back,
Right.
oh, it's not whether tight in the front, there's a window that's either broken out or just open
Yeah.
all the time.
Because
Yeah,
I think that code has gone to him and given him an order to remedy. I don't know exactly when it was issued and what his time frame is left.
Yeah,
Did
but
they
I
do the
think
roof?
that's true.
Wasn't the roof bad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it
there's a
was-
lot,
Because it
yeah.
was dripping down
Yeah,
through.
was that repaired? Do you know?
It may have been patched. There wasn't,
Okay.
mean, it's literally out my living room window here, so we've been kind of forced to see what's going on, but it was really more just windows the last couple of weeks. I haven't seen there may have been some roof patching, but there wasn't like a roof
Yeah,
project going on.
but those are the two eyesores right off the top of my
Right.
head that I
Yeah.
can think of.
And then the only other one is the one here by John Ash Center, the brown building,
Another one on the
the
corner.
old church, the old, yeah.
Oh.
Which one is it?
I was thinking the.
Brown building, right?
Is
The
Kevin-
Church.
Kevin
church,
still on
the
that?
church,
Oh,
here
Kevin
next to
Church.
John Ash
Yeah.
Community Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, years ago, I have some history on that. Years ago, the last year I was mayor, that was actually gonna be condemned. And for some strange reason, it wasn't. And at that time, Tom Windus and a couple others had really debated about taking that building down and making more parking for the John Ash Center. So that's a little bit of the history that I remember from that building.
The
And now.
church there? Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's just sitting there. The property beside it, that I think the city took the building down, that's becoming a mud puddle. That the people in that one house are parking there and they're ripping up the property, the subway, and the two pieces of sidewalk are sinking more, which the city's responsible for, so they should
Yeah.
fix them. But that, I think the city needs to figure out what they're gonna do with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even as that one, as Lincoln Park grows in popularity as a
Yeah.
venue, that would be great to have that park.
Yes, Dave.
Right.
They talked about putting a small parking lot.
Yeah.
But Adam's right, more and more people are coming to Lincoln Park and that corner, not just the church, but ongoing, that whole first block has become an eyesore. So,
Yeah, I mean, even
Maybe we can do
having
something.
that as parking though, I mean, that I'm, not to throw away Olean's oldest building without a thought, but I mean, if that
Right.
became a parking lot, that's more valuable to the downtown, revitalization than what that building currently is. And maybe this body maybe it isn't taking ownership of these properties. Maybe it's, Carrie, maybe it's the revival of the DPIP.
And that's still up.
Is it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
still
okay.
run that program. So when you had said about us doing like a commercial program, I thought, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna compete with my own.
Oh, no.
department.
If that's already, yeah, I mean, if that's already rolling,
I
maybe,
mean, it's fine, I'll run whatever you guys want.
oh, no. I mean, and, maybe, I guess I didn't realize that. For some reason, I thought I got
The
different.
revolving loan fund is no longer.
Revolving loan fund,
No
okay,
one in the state is allowed to run one since,
Gotcha.
The state's change in policy in 2017. That's what you were
Gotcha.
thinking of.
gotcha.
So are you thinking of a grant program? Is that what you're thinking of?
Or low
Grant
interest
programs?
loans or something. I mean, low interest loans would at least continue to generate a little bit of revenue to help us offset our costs. But, maybe it's partial grants. Maybe we could apply for, I don't know, maybe we would have access to grants that commercial property owners wouldn't have access to that could help fund, the infusions. I don't know. I'm literally just brainstorming here. I have no,
Yeah.
no thought. I mean, or, Carrie, would it make it easier for you or more complicated, I guess, if the DPIP came over under URA instead of a city-run function, right? Take it out of the city budget and put it into the URA budget. Is that easier? Is it worse? If it's worse, then no, but.
It would be worse
Okay.
because what the original source of funds were, it was UDAG. And that was from the 1960s. So I don't know how I would transfer it from local government to a public benefit corporation.
Sure.
Just off the top of my head. I mean, I could seek advice from Jack on that. But I know we would have to defederalize them before doing any type of transfer.
Gotcha, yeah, and I wouldn't say move it just to move it, it's just, as we're kind of we're an urban renewal agency seeking a mission, right? And so what are the options for that? And downtown has just always kind of been the brand of URA. And so how do we continue to, if that's the one we choose, if we want it to continue to be the downtown improvement folks, how do we do that? What form does
Yeah.
it take?
Yeah, because I think there was you guys had adopted an urban renewal area. And it had to do with really us seeking those grant funds for Manny Hanny and
Mhm.
Mara and so I don't know if members would wanna look at the urban renewal area and its mission statement and the URA plan between now and the next meeting, and then maybe that could get you guys some ideas. I could forward you those 3 docs for ready reference instead of you guys trying to find them on the webpage. So, I mean, I don't know, I thought this would be a good start to the conversation. Then I could try to come up with, just based on this conversation, it's been helpful.
Mhm.
I can then come up with a draft budget for you all to review then. And look at those documents, and then maybe we could iron these things out at the March meeting. If that is amenable then.
And I'm not
Okay.
suggesting we have to do this either. We can kind of, do what we've been doing. I don't mean to shake it up just for the sake of shaking it up, but I mean, what do you guys think?
I think we either do something, going forward, have some type of mission that's either expands what we've done in the past,
Mhm.
change it completely. But I think it's wrong of us to just become stagnant,
Stagnant, right?
I think, why are we meeting if we're not doing anything?
Mhm.
I mean, not that we don't have a project in place right now, but I just think, maybe reinvent ourselves. Like the OLDC is kind of morphed into more, that's something maybe we should be looking at doing.
Mhm.
Because times have changed, and I think what people are looking for as businesses have changed. A lot of people that used to buy a building to rent out space, those people are working from home now,
Mhm.
so
Right,
we have to change with the times.
With the ice storage, just again back real quick to James, I'm sure the city's probably issued an order of remedy from codes on this. And if they don't respond, can't codes take them to court and give them some fines and have the judge issue a remedy to correct? Or is it codes that dropped the ball on this issue?
I don't think they dropped the ball, I think that they've been,
Sorry about
oh, that's okay. I think they've been, working with whoever that, owner is. Because they wanted an engineer, if I'm not mistaken, a structural engineer to come in and review what needed to be done, provide codes with that, so I believe the individual is working on doing that. And did, but then I think a couple of order remedies were issued, but I just don't know the status and if they've given an extension because he's doing whatever in between, I don't know that. Or Tiffany, do you have any other
I don't
idea?
think that the owner is local.
Right.
He's
and I
not,
think
he's in
that
Brooklyn.
area.
That makes things,
If it's the same guy that bought it for tax, he was in Brooklyn.
That's the other
And he
issue.
bought a couple, didn't he, Adam?
and I'm
Yeah,
not
he
sure if
did.
that's
He
in
was,
his name or in the name of an LLC.
And
If
that's
it
how
is
they
an
get around
LLC,
everything.
then we are,
Screwed.
our hands are tied.
I think the problem they found is that there's people from out of town are buying them more now, the sales auctions online, and then they just
Yeah.
sight unseen, then they come, realize it's a pile, and then they just
Let it go for taxes.
wash their hands and try to balance it on the next flip profit.
Mhm.
And then we end up just looking at
There's
it.
been several with the online auction now, because they're bidding from anywhere.
He got it for 52-ish,
Wow.
and it was just bing, bing, bing. No matter what I did, he was right there.
Wow.
And but to your point, Linda, about walking around downtown, when we go for our walks, we walk by and go, man, am I glad I didn't get that. But that was the difference too,
Sometimes things
JR. I
happen.
mean, he was just online, he was picking off the a la carte menu in Cat County that day. Meanwhile, I'm on the phone with Mike Smith. I'm like, can I sell my car? I'm trying to think, can I get this building? What do I have to do to get this building? And he's just like, yep, I'm
I
taking this.
just remember his name on a lot of bids.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
But you know who it impacts is us.
Yeah,
And maybe
right.
that's something we should be looking at, the URA is having more control over outside entities coming in. Because that building's just gonna sit there. And if he's part of an LLC, it's gonna cost us money to get anything done, including the city. And there has to be a way for us to maybe work with the state to safeguard ourselves from those things. We used to have houses, this has been going on for a long time. I remember the house on Seventh, North Seventh, a guy from California bought it, like you said, just to take and check off, you know, this is a loss. And it sat there, and I think it was the place uptown that used to be there. They bought it and they fixed it up, they rehabbed it, and then they sold it. But up to that point, Jack Searle said, no, it's just been sitting there. And I remember taking a tour, the toilet was in the kitchen, it was horrible. But this guy just bought it to have something to write off on his taxes at the end of the year. There has to be a mechanism that we have to try to safeguard ourselves from those things. Even the commercial things, it's ridiculous, and it's just gonna sit, that guy's not gonna pay us a penny. I
Well,
don't
that's
bet
it.
anybody
He's not-
sitting here.
Most likely he's not going to. What he'll do is just, it'll just pop back up, and it's been a year now, right, Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It'll
was.
pop
it was
up,
at least
it'll
that
pop
long.
up next year on the next foreclosure if he doesn't pay the taxes.
Mhm.
And then all the fines and stuff like you just talked to will just, it's
Roll
done.
over.
Done,
No.
it'll just-
Price,
The
yeah.
county has to make us whole on
On
those
the,
now.
on that,
Yeah,
on the next sale. In
right,
terms of anything
Yes.
else that goes to him, he can just defunct that
yes,
LLC and
absolutely.
wash his hands.
Mhm.
Doing it for years.
It's like the vacant property on Front Street by Aspen Tower has been sold every tax auction for
Oh,
the
yeah.
past 10 tax auctions, because they buy it, think it's this great wooded lot. And then you realize that
There's
there's,
a sinkhole.
well, there's DEC regulations, it's a water conservation, you can't do nothing, then they just,
And then they cut down all the trees and it's like,
Yeah.
what'd you do that for? The deer enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the meantime, Jane's will continue to lose market value. I mean, as
Yeah.
this continues to go on, you know.
Yeah.
and
Is
we
that
get
in our
more-
favor?
It
No,
it may
because
be in our
that-
favor if the taxes don't continue to pile up on it and the expenses.
Adam, did they finish the roof or did they just strip some off?
You know, I don't know that.
Some of that was stripped off, if I remember right, because you can see it when you pull in, you can see it piled up out back. So actually it would be worse. If
Yeah.
the roof's unprotected, the weather will get in.
You know,
Unless there's a blue tarp up there, we don't know about.
I don't know if there's a blue tarp, I just moved a pile of stuff out back.
That seems to be the popular color.
Okay, so is that an okay approach? I'll provide you guys with all those docs prior to the next meeting. You wanna take some time to review. I'll come up with a draft budget, and then we can review that at the next meeting. And then continue these discussions, so then it'll give us the direction that we believe that we're heading in, and then we could adopt that budget in March.
thanks.
All
Kate.
right.
March is next month. I mean, is that, are you talking about next meeting?
Yes.
Better late than never, Bill.
Wasn't on my calendar, so.
Morning, Mayor.
Morning.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
So, just to bring you up to speed, we just approved the minutes, the financials. We discussed, I have a draft, well, it's not even a draft. I have our old budget, our current budget, I'm sorry, in the packets. And so, I just said, you know, I needed some guidance on the URA's mission and what we wanna do this coming year, so I can put together a budget. So what we've decided on is I will email to members our URA plan, the bylaws, the mission statement. So members can review it prior to our March meeting, brainstorm. And I'll just put together a draft budget, really with our expenses, what I think they may be. And I'm gonna leave the capital project, zeroed out until we figure out what that may look like in, July 1 of 23 to June 30th of 24. So that is, items 1 through 4 on the agenda.
Sounds good.
Okay, and then, Earl, I'm okay to move on to old business if everyone else is.
What do you think?
Okay, all right, so the Allegheny River Valley Trail Connector Project, as you saw in the financials, we paid, the contractor. If you may recall, there was, some difference in what they wanted us to pay them and what we were willing to pay them based on work performed. And, I was very cut and dry in my correspondence to them and just said, you know, a check is in the mail for this amount of money, we will not be paying you for the additional items that you requested. They did not follow proper procedure with change orders, and I'll leave it at that. So we have not heard from them. There's been no legal repercussion or anything to date.
Just telling people in hell want ice water, but they don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of felt like that then, but months have passed and I'm okay. Now the other item, as you may recall, we were doing the permanent easement to the property owner next door. Mr. Callahan called me on Monday, said he has not heard from Jack, did not receive the documents. I explained, you know, I've met with Jack before me leaving. He's been provided the information a couple of times since then, and to my knowledge, he was drafting the permanent easement. Now, Tiffany, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I am. Do you know of anything different? Okay,
I do not.
okay. So, if the board would allow, I'll contact Jack and update him from the meeting this morning, my conversation with Mr. Callahan, and ask him to provide the document, cause I gave him the amounts even for closing. Because the only thing we needed from Jack is to insert in the closing statement whatever that filing fee would be with the county and whatever his legal bill would be for drafting of the docs.
I seem to remember some resistance by Mr. Callahan.
I don't think so, when was it?
No, he's been, I don't know, really amenable.
Okay,
Yeah, we were hoping he wasn't gonna resist to the amount of money we were asking him
maybe
to
that's what it
pay.
was.
Yes.
okay,
And I met with him and gave him a breakdown and showed him the bills, and so he knows it's gonna be over $6,000 because of the change orders with the additional fill. Your memory's correct, and we were worried there would be, and then it turns out there wasn't any.
okay.
And that's all I have, if members have any questions on that. Okay. Moving on to the Constitution Avenue property. I met with Jack prior to my leave. I believe Tiffany and Kathy met with Jack and provided him with the information to draft the he has a survey, the legal description, and the other information so that he can draft that sale. Kira was given the abstract of title. Kira is the surveyor from Mariotti Surveying, formerly known as Mike Canada Surveying. And so we've asked her, because from my understanding, the potential buyer, being Armor Building Supply, had asked for there to be utilities updated on that easement. So we're waiting for that to occur. We've asked her 3 different times from what I've seen. And so Jack needs that to provide to the seller, so that way we can move forward with the sale. But I do believe he has in the interim worked on those legal documents so that transfer could occur. And I'll ask if he could attend the March meeting, just so that what I believe I'm relaying is correct.
All right, good.
So you're saying he might be at our next meeting, is that possible?
I'm hoping, yes.
Okay.
Cause then I think it would be helpful from what occurred, you know, my time away, and that I'm relaying the activities correctly. Otherwise, that's all I have on that one. And we will, you know, continue our efforts, and I will get with Jack again. And then I have bills, one bill. And it's really, it's to pay Empire Search Company $575, and it's relating to the abstract of title that I just referenced. Oh, it looks like it was paid in January, so this would be to reconcile.
And that's the only bill.
Yes,
Well, I'll make a motion to pay the bill that we already paid.
I was just gonna say, yeah, okay, I'll second that.
okay, voice vote,
Aye.
motion carried.
Kind of nice not to have any bills from the Manny Hanny.
No, no utilities, no,
Yeah.
keeping the electric bill straight and the gas bill straight.
Yeah, and then, well, you know what I'm thinking about bills, I mean, mowing season's coming.
Right, you have to mow.
So we really need to transfer that trail extension to the city, so we could quit paying the city to mow it.
All right.
I'll follow up with Jack on that. Well, I know why, because we need to do the
You have to do the other
permanent
piece first,
easement
right?
before,
Yeah.
that's what's
Yeah.
holding that up then. Okay. And then, the next meeting date would be that March 15th.
What was the next meeting date?
March 15th.
So just as a question, as we were kind of talking new business,
Yes.
if there were, again, other things that come about March, do we feel that Jack will be on board to continue to work some of these projects, if there were projects?
I can pose that and ask him. I mean, I would assume. But I mean, I don't know, I'll ask Jack. I hope so, but, I mean, Mary, you don't have any indication that he wouldn't wanna continue to be the URA attorney, right?
I do not,
Okay,
not the husband, so.
maybe you and I could meet with him, if that would be okay. I'll
Yeah.
get something scheduled.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
Cool.
Thank you all.
I'll make a
Motion to
motion
adjourn? Second.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Adam, we thank you.
Good
Thank
to
you
see you,
guys,
Adam.
appreciate
Keep
it.
an eye on that building.
Well, yeah,
Which one?
I'll keep an eye on all of them,
The one
everything
out
I can
the
see
living
from the
room.
window.
Hey, can you give me a call in about 15 minutes?
15 minutes, I sure will.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.